Hi, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. It's time for Taroscopes. We're going to be doing the Taroscopes for the sign of Scorpio. That's Scorpio Sun, Scorpio Moon, Scorpio Rising for the month of January 2024. So, this is a general reading for Scorpio. And if you want a more specific reading to your chart, I would suggest you do uh, a personal chart reading with me. Well, do a personal chart reading, certainly with me. That would be great. Um, I do offer personal readings. Those are a combination of astrology, numerology, and the tree of life, the Kabbalah. They are very detailed. They are very deep. They're probably nothing like you've ever had before. And I do hour and hour and a half readings. If it's your first reading, the hour and a half is preferable. It gives just a little bit more time to really dig in. But if you can't make that happen, the hour reading is also powerful as well. If you want a look at the astrology for the year for your sign, Scorpio, you can check that out. There is a Scorpio 2024 video already up on my YouTube channel. You can check that out as a general year-long reading, still general, so it doesn't fulfill this. It's not the same kind of reading as you would get a personal reading, but it can be very helpful as well. So we'll get started with that. We'll get started with this. Was there something else I wanted to say? No, I think that's it. And if I do remember the other thing I wanted to say, I'll say it if it's meant for me to say. Okay. Oh, I know what it is. So we're going to get started with the astrology. I am time stamping this, so if you're interested, if you're not quite as interested in the astrology as you are with the card reading, there'll be a timestamp. You can go right to the card reading. If you need to review the card reading again during the month, you might find it doesn't resonate with you right away. It may come to resonate with you more. The astrology tends to resonate because it's a little bit more of a general thing, and you're already feeling the energies. So, all right, let's get started. Okay, Scorpio. So Scorpio, as you may or may not know, is a fixed water sign, and your mantra is I desire. I desire. Your ruling planets, lucky you, Scorpio, you get two, Mars and Pluto, co-rulers of your sign. The Mars tends to work on a more personal level. Pluto, of course, is further out, but also is certainly felt in your chart. So 2024, before we get to January, I just want to make a few comments about 2024. Do have a couple of big shifts happening. Of course, we have Pluto moving into Aquarius again, but Jupiter is also going to be moving into Gemini. So earthly energy at the beginning, more airy energy at the end. Pluto does go back into Capricorn for one last little bit that it needs to deal with. In on the 3rd of September and out on the 20th of November, right in time for the United States presidential election. But what you're looking at right here is sort of a setup for you for the whole year. I want to point out that we're in a new vibrational year. We're in an 8 vibration. 8 is the number of manifestation. It's also a management number, so it's real important to manage things, to prioritize, to organize this year. It's also a year of as you sow, so shall you reap. And so we will be reaping some of the crops, we'll call it, that we have planted over the last 7 years. And we'll see how that manifests itself in people's charts, right? It's also energetically located on the tree of life. This path is in the throat chakra. So this is a time when, for the most part, we have to, our personal will sort of upstaged by divine will. And so it's about surrendering to our higher selves to a certain extent, our higher vibrational selves. It's less about what we're getting out of things on planet Earth, so to speak, and more ultimately we get what we put in. So if we're putting in good things, we're going to get good things back. Um, but our focus is I feel is more from a higher perspective. And as a Scorpio, the sign that's associated with the extremes, chances are if you're watching this, you're already sort of working from that place anyway, that higher vibrational place. So let's take a look. People who are in the lower vibration of Scorpio aren't watching me for the most part. Okay. So we start the year with Mercury retrograde, but only for a couple of hours. It turns directions on the 1st, going direct at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. For you, that is your second house. So at the end of the year, there may have been some challenges with Mercury moving through that second house of values and money, moving backwards. But now it starts to move forward, so things should start manifesting a little bit easier for you. We also have Venus making a last quarter square to Saturn. Venus in Sagittarius in that house of values, making a last quarter square to Saturn. This is a um, crisis in belief. Your Saturn is sitting in Pisces in your 5th house of fun. So you're having less fun than perhaps you'd like to have. Um, But Saturn also tends to make things real, and the 5th house is creative self-expression, and it is love. So in Pisces, it can be a compassionate love that's coming into you, right? So it's not all bad news having Saturn there, but Saturn is there for quite a while because Saturn spends about 2.5, sometimes a little longer years in a sign. And so it sits there for a while, and it tests things. So it's testing your creative self-expression. It's testing maybe your relationship to your children. It's testing love. It's a tester. Like it always brings this the pop quiz. Saturn always has the pop quiz in its little um, Saturn bag that it carries around with it. On the 3rd, Mars ingresses into Capricorn. Now, this is really good for you because Mars, being one of your ruling planets, is moving into its sign of exaltation. So Mars functions really well in Capricorn. And for you, it's going to be in your 3rd house. It's functioning. It helps to structure your mind, and it can be very uh, Mars and Capricorn can be very sort of ambitious. So if there's projects that you want to get done, this is a time, especially if there are projects that have to do with communication, writing, things like that. This is a good time for that. All right, let's continue. All right, so excuse me, I had to go get something. Week 2, we start with a square of Mercury to Neptune that occurs on the 8th. That's a little confusing, I have to say, whenever Neptune and Mercury get together. It is a crisis in consciousness, so there's a crisis in belief here. Do we believe what we're hearing? Do we believe what we're being told? What is it when we put it through our own internal filters? Is it has it resonate for us? That is a question we may be asking ourselves as that second week begins. We also have the sun make a trine to Uranus. This is a free flow of energy. The sun illuminates where we need to change things. We also have Mars sextiling Saturn on that day, which is a really nice aspect because sextiles are opportunistic. We have an opportunity. They're mental in their nature, and it helps us to move into the future uh, with a more progressive mindset. And of course, Mars being your ruling planet, or one of your ruling planets, this is important for you. We do have on the 9th, excuse me, on the 11th, we have a new moon in the sign of Capricorn. That's your third house. This is a time where you might want to start a new project, maybe a new writing project, a writing assignment, data collection, all those third house things that we like to work with. And then on the next day, Mars makes a trine to Jupiter. And so there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of flow, there's a lot of opportunity. There are some challenges this month, but most of the challenges are asking us to become authorities in our own life, to start trusting ourselves, and sort of reorienting our lives in the direction of what we truly know to be true for ourselves, okay? On the 13th, Mercury goes into Capricorn now. Mercury, when Mercury started, I should say it's because Mercury is a hermaphrodite. There's no, Mercury is asexual in its nature, right? Doesn't have a male or a female side. But Mercury ingresses into Capricorn and brings the structure of Capricorn, right? Brings the knowledge and the wisdom of Capricorn into that Mercury energy, moving into that third house. This may be a time when you want to make an announcement about something, especially if it has to do with how you earn your money, your career, or whatever it is that you do, however you choose to spend your money to manifest the life that you have. Week 3, we have the Sun making a sextile to Neptune. This can bring compassion, much needed aid to those people who need aid. On the 18th, a few days later, we have Mercury make a sextile to Saturn. This is again moving into a more progressive direction. On the 19th, Mercury trines Jupiter. Now, this is important because this Mercury trine Jupiter has been hanging around for a while. It first happened back in December, right before Mercury went retrograde. Mercury went retrograde, it happened again. And now this is the last, 3 is a charm. So we're sort of bringing forward some of that December energy into January to be resolved. This is where the right brain and the left brain are on the same page. It's like our brain is working on all cylinders, which is really nice. Change pace, I guess. And so this is an opportunity for us to share what we know, to learn from others. It's a golden opportunity not to be wasted. Trying sometimes, because they don't create havoc in our lives, sometimes we forget to utilize the energy of them, but this is a golden opportunity. We also have Venus make the last quarter square to Neptune. These are crisis in belief squares. Venus, in Sag, right? The belief, what I believe to be true, square Neptune, which can be illusion and disillusion. So there can be some waking up to illusions, things that you thought were true that perhaps are not true. For you, this is your third house. And where is it? Let's see. Where you have your third house and your fifth house. So it could be around issues of love, or it could be around issues of children. The truth will come out one way or the other. So you don't have to worry whether the truth will come out. Just be ready for it when it does. On the 20th, we have the Sun conjunct Pluto at the last degree of Capricorn. This happens every year, but this will be the last time it happens in Capricorn since 2008. Next time this happens next year, 2025, it'll be in Aquarius. So this is sort of a fond farewell. This is like one of those farewell tours that a lot of these rock bands make, farewell tour. You'll never see these guys together on the stage. And then they have their farewell tours for a couple of years. Well, this will be the last farewell tour. This is it. It's done. Farewell tour of Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn energy. which really hasn't been all that bad. I mean, Pluto in Capricorn is good for you guys because it's a sign that's sextile your sign. So you work well with that energy. It's going to move into Aquarius on the same day after the sun moves there. And that's a little bit more difficult because it's a sign that squares your Scorpio. If you happen to be a very early Scorpio, then Pluto is squaring your Scorpio planets. It is a crisis in action square, so it's going to require action on your part. Pluto is in there for 20 years, so you don't have to rush to action necessarily, but know that there's going to be a lot of action around your Scorpio planets, and most of it has to do with building firm foundations for your new realizations, for your new sense of who you are, um, for your new mindset because Pluto has been moving through that house of mind since 2008. On week 4, we have Venus finally decide she's going to move into Capricorn. She waited for Pluto to leave. Not that I can blame her. They've been having some pretty challenging aspects together, and of course, Pluto Pluto sorry, Pluto and Venus, can be those obsessive like relationships. I can't live without you, that kind of stuff, right? So that's never fun. All right. On the 25th, we have a full moon in the sign of Leo. This is happening in your 10th house. There'll be an illumination, perhaps around your career or something about you, about your feelings and emotions are seen in the public eye with the sun there in the 4th house. On the 27th, we have the sun make a last quarter square to Jupiter. This isn't really that bad. Squares of the sun and Jupiter, probably the biggest challenge here is not to take on too much at that time. On the same day, we have Mercury conjunct Mars, one of your ruling planets at 17 degrees of Capricorn. This sort of starts a new cycle with Mercury and Mars. Within a year, we'll understand what seed was planted at this time. Week 5, the 28th is a really nice day, really positive energy day with Venus sextiling Saturn, helping us to structure and get what we want. Mercury trining Uranus, downloads from our higher self, and Venus trining Jupiter. Just be careful you don't overspend on that one, but it's a very optimistic and it's a lovely energy. So we have some really nice energy. And then the last major aspect happening this month is occurring with Mars trining Uranus. This is easy change, easy change. So Scorpio isn't the easiest sign to change things. You don't really change, you transform. You go through a whole sort of process of death and rebirth with almost everything. But this trine of one of your ruling planets to Uranus does help you to move with a little bit more ease, and change perhaps becomes a little less painful and a little bit more like a choice. A little bit more like a choice. All right, so we're going to stop the share now, and we're going to do a card reading using the Arcanum deck. So let's get started with that. Okay, so I just shuffled the cards. Let's see what's up with Scorpio. So we start the month with some emotional ups and downs. It's a very intense card. Something is coming up from underneath. Something is rising up from the subconscious as we start the month. Let's see the challenge to that. We have the Six of Wands here as the challenge to the moon. This really kind of speaks to a victory over whatever is coming up from underneath. So let's continue. Let's see what's underneath, what's coming up from underneath. A decision. You're at a crossroads to make a decision. Hmm. You're feeling like a decision needs to be made, but you still don't maybe feel like you have either all the information or it's not the right time. Let's see what's in the past. A balancing act in the past, another two. So another decision around resources and money. Let's see what's in the sky. More resources here. This looks an awful lot like Joe Biden's um, reading for the Ukraine, or trying to get resources for the Ukraine. But he is a Scorpio, so this could be him as well. Let's see the immediate future. Okay, the power. So you do get what you want, but it's very much everything is sort of balancing on I almost want to say a knife's edge or a sword's edge here. So you get what you want, but you have to be very careful about how you navigate this, how it's seen from outside. Two of Wands, planning, another two, a lot of twos here. A lot of twos. So you're planning your next move, you're thinking about how you want to put yourself out there in the world. Let's see your domestic situation. It's a whole new thing. So you're taking a whole new leap of faith here. So you're willing to take a chance. It does indicate that you will be able to, with a very focused mind, be able to move forward here. You're concerned that you're being judged or that you will be judged, but the choices that you make are to balance the scales. But this is a real balancing act this month, a real balancing act for you. Let's see what's underneath it all. Knight of Wands. There's a proselytizing energy to this always. I feel like you're out and, this is what I believe. This is the truth. This is, sort of putting it out there on the road, traveling. There's some traveling here. And there's the star. This is about having, connecting to your guiding star. So these two sort of go together. And then we have this card, which is the Eight of Cups, which means turning your back on something you've put a lot of energy into, but it is not feeding your soul anymore. And so you need to move away from it. Okay. So I think you are moving away from it. But this is, wow, this is a pretty intense reading. In a lot of ways, this reading speaks to me of trying to hold a balance at a time when it would be easy to just say, screw it, right? But it's important that you hold the balance. It's important that uh, you really have to focus on what it is that you want to create. That's going to help things congeal. That's going to help decisions be made, and that's going to help you to bring in the resources. from outside that you need for this, for your in a way will to be manifested. And then ultimately it's a balancing of the scales. And so now I know I'm not talking to these people, but for those people who are on the negative side of Scorpio, um, you have to choose well because justice is at the end. So if you're planning on something that's untoward, you're gonna reap that. Remember, we're in a manifestation year, and we're in a as you sow, so you shall you reap year. So you do need to be very aligned with the best parts of yourself as you start this year. All right, let's pull a Starseed Oracle for you and see what is here for Scorpio. Scorpio, Starseed Oracle for Scorpio. Starseed Oracle for Scorpio. Scorpio. Maybe we can get a little bit more information on that last read. Oops. You got the love. Codependency and boundaries. All right, let's see what this says. You got the love. I'll hold it up for you so you can see it. I haven't gotten this before, so. Okay. This is called Hadrian energy. Sorry, Hadarian. Whoops, let me get this out of the way. Okay, here we go. Can you see that yet? Sorry. Whoops. Oh, jeez, almost dropped that. Okay. The Hadarians believed to be beacons of pure divine unconditional love, who see love in all people and situations. As a result, they can find it hard to have boundaries, interdependent, healthy relationships because they only see the unconditional nature of those they meet. The lovers of the cosmos, they dive in fast. They're here to learn how to love while in separate bodies, to learn to love self first and then establish healthy relationship with others, to remember that the love they seek is already within them, that they truly do have the love on their own. The message of this card is to review the ways you may need to establish healthier boundaries. Perhaps you're in a codependent relationship in which you may be losing your sense of self. It's common for starseeds to dive deep into relationships, particularly with those who feel safe and familiar at a soul level. Perhaps you're in a relationship which you give more than you receive, or perhaps there's a certain volatility to it, and you're always unsure where you stand. This card is a sign to do a relationship review and see what energetic agreements you've made, consciously or unconsciously, to acknowledge if there is a relationship in which you feel anxious or powerless, in which you don't feel that it's safe to relax and just to be, to assess it, to assess if there are any places of inadequacy that you've used this relationship to soothe and cover up. Do you lose yourself in relationships? And if so, how? How can you develop a deeper love for yourself? All right, well, there you go, Scorpio. Hopefully it makes sense to you. All right, well, have yourself a wonderful month. Like and subscribe. If you would like a reading, as I said, there are links below for that. If you would like to support my work through Patreon, there's a link for that as well. I will see you again next month for the Taroscopes for the month of February. Until then, you could check out my month ahead, my weekly astrology, and my daily walk through the garden, where I talk about the stars, and we look at stuff. there's more to look at in the spring and the summer and the fall than there is now. So sometimes I'll stay in the house because it's too cold or too dreary, and I'll find something interesting for you to look at. Okay. Take care, everyone. Namaste.